All right, again, Coach Avon here, going through my 6 essential mobility things that we can work on while we're at home. So I call this just a mobility circuit. So number 1, foam roll. We're all pretty familiar with that. Number 2, dorsiflexor, 2-way. Number 3, T-spine, otherwise known as thoracic spine. Number 4, passive hamstring. Number 5, hip flexors. And number 6, 90-90s. All right, so this addresses a lot of key places where athletes either get hurt or are constantly tight. And if you do this about 3 to 4 times a week, with adding maybe your own little twist to it, maybe a quad stretch in between, but I believe that these are the most 6 essential things when it comes to being a mobile athlete and addressing key parts in an athlete's body where they get injured a lot. So let's go through number 1, foam roll. So many of you may not have a foam roll that we have here at the training center, all right? There's a really nice ones called trigger point, or there's the ones that we have here that are just simply a PVC pipe with a yoga mat on top rolled around. All right, if you don't have anything, most of you are athletes, you must most definitely have a ball at home, whether it be a lacrosse ball or a basketball. Anything that is around this size, you can still use to foam roll, all right? I actually sometimes think balls are better because they pinpoint maybe a place on your hamstring, quad, back, that you might be sore, and you can address that little issue there. So when we do foam rolling, we want to address a couple parts. First, we want to start on our back, our erector spinae. Those are the 2 muscles that run right down your spine, that cover your spine, that aren't directly on your spine, that you really get sore on. So let's say you do some deadlifts, you have a very sore low back. That's your erector spinae. So those 2 things, you'll be able to feel it on your back if you just reach around and touch your back. That's what we're gonna roll first. Then we move on to the glutes, all right, otherwise known as your butt. Number 3, we got our hamstrings, all right? And then we move down to our calves, and then we're gonna flip around and get our iliotibial band, IT band here, and then our quads to finish up. So how I start, I just wanna sit on the foam roller like this, all right, on my lower back, hands across my chest, and just roll out. So there's breathing techniques that you can do here. You can breathe in before you roll out, and roll out just like this. So it's all your feet, really. So I'm just leaning side to side, kind of getting those places in my back. You're gonna hear your back crack a lot. And just try to find a place. If you find a place where it's a little tension, then try to roll that out a little bit and feel that, all right? Don't spend any more than 2 minutes on a certain section of any part of your muscle, all right? Just try to work it in, because you don't want to overwork it and create maybe too much damage or uncomfortability, if you will. Next, we're gonna move down to the glutes, all right? So we're gonna stay high on our butt here. So what you wanna do, let's say I wanna roll my left glute, all right, this side. What I'm gonna do is kick this leg over top just like this, so my ankle is resting on top of my knee. I'm gonna lean into that side and just kind of create short motions just like this. All I'm doing is using my hands to place, all right? My feet is the one that's kicking or just pushing me in the right directions here. And I'm gonna switch, hold for about 30 seconds to a minute there, switch here, again, working around, constantly moving, trying to hit those places that you may not hit if you just stayed in a singular motion, all right? Now, same thing for hamstrings, all right? With hamstrings, make sure we're not going into that knee, the armpit of your leg, if you will. You wanna stay above your knee pit and right below your butt there, so that whole entire muscle, that's all we wanna get, just the fat and the muscle there. So again, what I do here, if I wanna get my left hamstring, cross my right leg over, and then just sit on hamstring just like that. Short motions, not going too deep towards your butt, not going all the way close to where your tendons insert to your knee there. So just staying right on that muscle there, and again, moving around. Switch, do the same thing after the time. Switch there, that's fine. Moving down here, all right. Same thing with the calf, all right? Staying only on the bulky part of your calf here. Don't go too far down towards your Achilles, your ankle there. And again, not going too high into your knee. So just stay on that fat part of the muscle. All right, moving around just like that, both sides. All right. Now we're gonna flip over because we hit all our back there. Now we're gonna come into our iliotibial band, all right, and our quad here. So basically the IT band is just a long muscle that tends to get very sore because it's not very much addressed. That runs on the lateral part of your quad there, and then we're just gonna hit all our quads here. So when I'm here, I wanna be in a push-up position, get down, cross my ankles just like this, and just roll just like this on your quad. Again, moving around, trying to get to the inside and the outside of your knee. All right, and last but not least, iliotibial band. It can be pretty painful for some people. All right, all you want to do is cross over just like this and roll over on the outside of your quad, just like that. All right, so those are the key places to get. Again, you can do it with the ball the exact same way I did it here. Maybe it just creates a little more balance. Just try to create your hands a little wider there. You can still use a ball for that. All right. Next, we got dorsiflexors 2 ways. All right, so what your dorsiflexion is when you're running and your knee goes over your toe, just like that. That's dorsiflexion. When you push off, that's called plantar flexion. So we want to make sure, because the athletes are so much jumping, getting into those positions where you're in dorsiflexion. All right, we want to make sure that you're mobile there. All right, so we're going to do 2 different ways here. First, it's called dorsiflexion elevated. So I kick my knee back, I put my whole foot on here, just like this. You're getting a little hip flexor stretch here as well. But all I want to do is put all my weight over, just like this, all right, slowly. So count to 3, 3, 2, 1, putting a ton of pressure into my feet here. Key thing is to not let your heel rise at all. So I'd recommend doing this without a shoe on so you can see your foot action. If I come over and my heel starts to rise, that's where you stop. You don't want your heel to come off the ground at all. So pushing into it here, going over, just like that. You can use anything to elevate, a stair, anything like that. Get you a little better angle here. Just coming over like that, all right? Putting a ton of weight into it so we overload that joint and make sure it's very mobile, all right? The other way you can do that, all right, is coming over to a wall here. Okay, so this is the other way you do dorsiflexion, all right? So what I want to do is put my foot about 3 to 4 inches away from the wall, and all I'm going to do is try to come over my toes until my knee touches the wall. You shouldn't see my heel rise at all. If it's too easy, scoot it back a little bit. I want to get it to the point where I can touch the wall. You see my heel starts to rise a little bit, so I'm going to move it back a little bit forward. I want to get to that maximal point where it feels like I'm getting a good stretch, but my heels are coming off the ground. And all I'm going to do here is just move slowly over my toes, 8 reps, move inside my big toe, 8 reps, and then move outside my pinky toe, 8 reps. All right, just like that. Again, with this, you just want to be slow and controlled. All right, so those are the dorsiflexors 2 ways. Next is T-spine, thoracic spine mobility. All right. The most important thing for athletes here is to be very mobile in your thoracic spine, because so often we're in those uncomfortable positions. We're sitting all day. All right, in sport, we need to have an active back. All right, and that's mostly athletes using your thoracic spine. All right, that's kind of like the middle of your back. So what you're going to do here is going to be all 4s, all right, toes dug into the ground. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a deep breath in. My hand, my eye is going to follow my hand here, and as I breathe out, I'm going to keep a straight arm. I'm going to shoot, as I breathe out, my arm all the way out until I get to here. My shoulder is on the ground, my arm is completely flat, all right, and I can feel a stretch back here. You hold it until you're fully out of breath. Then breathe in. Go all the way back to the top, and then breathe out, slow, 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 all the way here. Hold it until you're out of breath. All right, I probably do about 6 each side. We really want to focus on breathing here, and every time you go back through, you shoot through your arm, try to get much farther and get that shoulder a little bit farther forward to really put your thoracic spine through some stress and stretch it out. Next thing we got is passive hamstring. It's a pretty simple one, but there's a lot of misconceptions with how we should stretch our hamstring. So it's your classic, just kicking your heel up here, making sure that your back, your leg, and this leg is straight, and just reaching out. So many times do I see athletes going forward like this, and that can be damaging to our muscle and what we're trying to get. You actually don't get a deeper stretch by doing what's called a ballistic stretch, by continuing to reach out just like this. All I want to do is a static stretch here. So reach out, breathe and hold. Breathe in again. Breathe out again and hold it. All right, we're gonna hold for about 30 seconds each side. All right, probably do that about 2 sides. Just making sure we're just not pushing more. It should be a slow and controlled stretch there. Next thing we got is a hip flexor stretch. All right, you can either do it elevated the way I did it with the box here, or you can just do it normally. Basically, what I want you to do is kick your leg back like this. All right, making sure this knee is at about 90 degrees, and you should feel the hip flexors right here. all right, and then I come into it, all right? There's different ways of making it harder here. I can reach out like this. I can get a much better stretch through here if I reach opposite diagonal towards the ceiling, all right, just like that, all right? And then another way of doing it is moving this lead leg out to the side and then leaning that knee almost diagonal in a line to that back heel here, and then reaching. You get a much different stretch the way you manipulate it, all right? So try to manipulate either that lead foot or the way you reach to get different points in your hip flexor. Last but not least is 90-90s. All right, and what 90-90s are is a way of almost strengthening your hips, but not necessarily, we want to put them through their ranges of motion. So your hip is going to do something called internal rotation and external rotation. So what I'm going to start is, while it's called 90-90s, because your knees and your calf here are going to create a 90-degree angle. All right, so I have a 90-degree angle here, and I have a 90-degree angle here. All right, my hips are facing toward this lead leg here. All right, my sternum should be cutting my knee in half here, and I stay up like this. All I'm doing is going to get this same position, but facing the whiteboard here, so facing the opposite way. And how I do that is keeping my spine neutral, chest up, keeping my feet planted where they are, and coming across just like that. All right, so often a lot of athletes are not going to be good at this because they have weak hips, are going to want to curl over like this. They're going to want to do this, and they're going to move their feet out and in like that. The more you do this, the better your hips are going to be more healthy and more mobile. So keep that chest up, come through just like this, facing just like that. All right, so I do about 6 each side. All right, and that's your 90-90s. So again, my mobility circuit, top 6 things that I think are the most important that athletes need to address. All right, just go through those things 3 to 4 times a week, and by the time you're back in the field, you're gonna be golden.